Several of you have been asking for me to bring this back lately, so we're doing it. We're bringing back the 7-string metal guitar lessons, and I've got a really awesome melodic metal rhythm for you to learn today, and we're gonna hear it, then learn it. But real quick, if you don't have a 7-string guitar, well, go get one. What are you waiting for? I'm halfway joking. Even if you have a 6-string guitar, guys, I still want you to go through this lesson. Just start out on that 1st string and follow along with the same frets and all that. You'll be in a different key, but this lesson is really important for a few reasons. I'm going to talk about those at the end of the video after the lesson, but here's the riff that you're about to learn. Alright, so you just heard the 3 parts to this rhythm. We're going to go over each of them one by one. That first has a lot more movement to it, and it can be a little tricky, but I'm going to walk you through this step by step. Now, real quick before we get to the lesson, my Patreon supporters, I actually have the guitar tabs and backing tracks for you to play along with for this lesson, so I'll leave a link to that in the description of this video. Part 1, this first section might prove to be a little more challenging than the other two. Actually, this is going to make the other two really easy. But hey, I like to do the harder stuff first sometimes. That's why I work out in the mornings. Get that tough part done first thing in the morning, and then the rest of the day, I don't want to say it's easy, but you get what I'm saying here. The other two things I want to point out real quick though, our fingers are kind of backwards. I mean, we're used to playing the regular power chords, but here everything's just kind of turned around backwards for the most part. So that might be a little challenge, but you will get through that. The second and final thing is that we're arpeggiating these all the way through this progression here, okay? We're doing this constant arpeggiating of the notes. So there's like this really cool rhythmic pattern that you sort of have to catch on to. So let's go through this. I'm going to play through this real quick. Well, not real quick. I'm actually going to play through it really slow, and we'll break everything down. 4 chords. So that very first chord that we're playing is actually an E minor. And the cool thing is we're only playing the first 3 strings, the B, E, and A string, all the way through this progression. So that makes things a little easier. I like to kind of break it down in these little bite-sized chunks. And now I'm hungry. I think we have some leftover ribs and barbecue. That's going to be good later. For that first note, we are on the B string 5th fret, okay? E string 3rd fret, A string 2nd fret. So this is what we're doing. And we're arpeggiating down twice and then just coming right back up like this. That's it. And one other quick note, so this can be the challenge of having these little crooked, inverted, like backwards finger positions here. You might find at first that it's kind of difficult for the other parts of your fingers not to touch the other strings. So what I recommend if you're having trouble with that is just to pause the video. Don't pause it right now, but pause it in a few seconds. Do this first and just play those notes, okay? Again, those frets are 5, 3, 2. So pause the video and just practice that for a little bit and then hit play again and we'll resume. All right, so the second chord that we're playing here, and I'm just going to call out the frets on down, right? The B, E, and A strings here. We are on frets 7, 5, and 5, okay? And I play it like this here. the reason I'm using my pinky is, and this just kind of makes it easier, I like to make things simple if I can, is because when I'm playing that first chord, it allows me just to slide up, and my pinky's kind of already in position. Watch this. This is another part, if you want to pause the video and just practice that, going back and forth just like this. Okay, and again, it's okay to pause the video and practice piece by piece, because that's really how you're going to catch on a lot faster, rather than getting frustrated trying to do the whole thing all at one time. Just break it down in, again, bite-sized chunks. My wife bought these little bite-sized Three Musketeers. I don't know why she bought them, because she knows I'm going to eat them if they're there. The next chord is going to feel like you're playing like a regular G chord, so it makes it a little bit easier. And you've got an open string in there too, so that makes it easier as well. So our frets are 3, 2, and open, okay? So it's like this. Really easy. Again, 3, 2, and open. So that's simple. This final chord with this progression here is going to be a C, and basically we're going to play this one like a power chord, like a full power chord. We're playing the root note, the 5th note, which makes up the power chord, but we're going to bar that finger down. I'm using my pinky for that, on that A string there, and we're going to play that octave of the root note as well. So now, after hearing part 2, you're probably like, whew, okay, that's a little bit easier. It sounds like the same thing that we played in part 1, but we're not picking as much. And you're exactly right, we're not. We're changing up the way we arpeggiate the notes here. The reason I threw this in, and it's going to be the same reason that we're going to play this third part after this, and that's going to be even easier. You'll see what I'm talking about. But the reason why I'm throwing these pieces in there, and not necessarily making them easy on purpose, but just playing something different, just to change things up a little bit. We'll talk more about that at the end of the lesson here, but let's go through this real quick, okay? So it's the exact same thing. The frets are the same, the notes are the same. All we're doing is just changing the way we pick, and really we're just picking down one time on each of those notes. We're letting them ring out like this. The challenge and the beauty of this, yes, it's more simple. However, the challenge can be is if you're not smooth on those, well, you're gonna hear it, or actually you won't hear some of the notes because they'll be muffled by your fingers. That's kind of the challenge with playing these. Again, these kind of twisted fingers, kind of, I don't want to say crooked, but everything's sort of backwards from the typical power chord, of course, until you get to that last one there. And again, I'll call these frets out real quick. That first chord, and again, we're on B, E, and A strings. That first chord is 5. These are the frets, 5, 3, and 2. Then we slide up and go 7, 5, 5. And that 5, 5, I'm just barring right there, right? Okay. Next, we're going to go 3, 2, open. And then finally, we're going to go 1, 3, 3. Okay, so let's play that. We're just going to let them ring out. Last part is going to be super simple. We're just going to play the power chords, okay? So what we're doing is, again, we're in the key of E minor. We're going to play an E power chord. Now, next, we're going to go to a little bit different type of power chord, and you guys have seen me cover this on my channel multiple times over the years and over the videos. but we're going to be it's kind of like a stretchy power chord, because typically you've got 1 fret between the power chords. Well, this time you're going to have 2 frets between there, which makes this particular chord an F sharp over D. That's what we're going to be playing. Next, we're going to play a D followed by a C. But since we're playing on the 7th string, and this is the beauty of 7-string guitars, we're going to play the heavy D and the heavy C here, okay? So we just get that extra range, and it can just sound really, really cool. So let's just go through this real quick. And this is, again, this is very simple. We're just going to let those power chords ring out. Alright guys, there are 2 things I want to point out about this particular riff that you just played, and I hope you continue playing this riff and come up with some cool stuff, like add to it, take away from it, play it on some different strings and frets and so forth. You guys know I always encourage you to take the riffs that I'm giving you and the licks to and add to them and make them your own. But anyway, back to the point here. You notice that we played with some different finger positions, and also we arpeggiated these notes. Now this might not be a style that you're used to playing, but this was by design, and it was to get us away from the constant chugging on the lower notes all the time. I know we have a tendency to go there because, hey, look, the low notes, they sound cool. I mean, it's like that soul-punching, sound and feel that it has. But when you play them all the time, if you tend to gravitate towards that every time you pick up your 7 or 8 string or down-tuned guitar, you just end up playing the same stuff over and over, and it just kind of all runs together. So this is just a way to break away from that. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but maybe you want some diversity in your style and in your playing. So this is just a really cool way, playing some of those, weird power chords, if you want to call them that, or variations of power chords, and then maybe arpeggiating some of those notes. And of course, at the end, we went to some straightforward power chords on there. We played that D and that C with those lower notes on the 7th string, and just got really the meat and potatoes there. So we kind of mixed it all together. The second point I wanted to make about this riff is, yeah, we started out a little challenging there. If you're not used to arpeggiating or using those different finger positions, because we're playing 3 notes cross there, that can be a challenge. But however, it got easier as the rhythms progress. Like in the second part, we're using the same finger positioning, but we're not arpeggiating near as much. By the time we get to round 3, we're just letting those power chords ring out. So we had these different sections of the song, and of course you could play different things. It doesn't have to be the same thing or same progression. And I would challenge you, by the 3rd round there, maybe play that same progression but in a different key. That would make it sound really, really cool. But my point, guys, is just because it's a complex rhythm or riff, that doesn't automatically make it a good song. Now, I know good song is very subjective, right? Some people love technical stuff. Some people are like, I'd rather hear something melodic. But the point I want to make here, guys, is yes, I want you to challenge yourself. I don't want you just to play power chords all the time. I want you to play some complex rhythms, but not everything you write, not everything you play has to be over the top complex, because again, that doesn't necessarily make it a good song. And one last point I'll point out, see my point, is that I want you to go with whatever feels natural to you, okay? And again, don't use as an excuse to not push yourself, right? If you really like some of the technical stuff, but you're like, that's not really my style, and you're just being lazy and don't want to learn it, well, hey, don't let that be an excuse. However, you may be more like me, for example, or you might not. But if you're more like me, I tend to like the more melodic styles. Like I love Nightwish, I love Amon Amarth, and they've got some complex stuff, but their rhythms really aren't over the top. It's not like, oh my God, how do you play that? But it sounds cool. To me anyway. Again, I know this is a very subjective topic here, but you have to understand that not everybody that listens to metal plays guitar. And a lot of non-guitar players, they just want to hear some good metal music. Now, that might be some complex rhythms. It might not be. A lot of them really just don't care. They just see you playing up there, and it's like, that looks cool and it sounds cool. So I guess what I'm trying to say is maybe put your songwriting first. Those of you who write songs and really want to take things to that level, make sure that is first and foremost, and then have your riffs cater to that concept. I want the song to be awesome. You know, I really just want you guys to do what's best for you as a musician and guitarist. And I don't want you, in saying that, I don't want you to ever feel that, well, this is my style here, but, well, these guitar players, if they hear me playing this, they're gonna be like, well, that's not hard to play. You gotta play difficult riffs. Don't let that be the reason. You know, don't let that necessarily change your song from what it was. It may have been really, really awesome, but now you feel compelled to do something else that maybe you can play it, maybe you're not there at that level, but who cares? Maybe it's just not you. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. If it doesn't, leave a comment. If it does, hey, leave a comment. I always read your comments. I love to hear what you guys have to say. But again, I want you to be true to yourselves as a musician and guitarist. Guys, remember, Patreon supporters, you guys have backing tracks and tabs for this. Again, I know not all of you have a 7-string, so when you see the tabs on there, all you have to do is just, you know, start out on that 1st string on your 6-string guitar and just play those riffs accordingly. And hey, for the backing tracks, well, play those notes on the 6-string guitar. Figure that out, and that's going to be a challenge for you. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I appreciate you guys watching all my videos and all the support. Please make sure you give this a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I will be putting more 7-string content out there, but I'll also put plenty of 6-string metal content out there as well. But guys, I will see you in the next video. Until then, you know what to do. Keep it metal.